It feels good to be back in front of a camera after a lengthy hiatus. I have been insanely busy, writing like crazy for new projects that are happening. I'm doing a degree in CGI and visual effects. I have been all over the place, all kinds of stuff happening. It's been insane. I'm going to be jumping from state to state soon, doing some pretty incredible things. I got my own apartment in Queens for a while. There's a lot of things that have shifted and changed, and it's all exciting, but today I wanted to focus on one thing. I asked everybody on my Facebook page to ask me questions relating to film, whether it's filmmaking, behind the scenes, stuff that I like, my favourite movies, that kind of thing. I thought it was time to sit down and answer some of your questions. Got the whole black and white thing going on, get it all moody and arty in here. Andy McEwen asks, what are my top 3 favourite films? Now this is insanely difficult. There are a million films I could be like, oh my god, that's my favourite every time that I see it on TV. But if I'm gonna think of just 3 movies that I could watch forever, that'd probably be Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, Birdman, because oh my god, Birdman, and something that I've watched every single year since I was a kid, It's a Wonderful Life. Those 3 movies, I'd be set for life just having those 3 movies with me.
You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down. Hey, that's a pretty good idea. I'll give you the moon, Mary.
I'll take it. Then what?
James Hayward asks, do you have any tips for people who want to get in front of the camera? Now this is my personal advice. It's do whatever it takes to boost your confidence. Whatever it is that makes you feel the best about yourself, and it just gives you that confidence that you need in order to do what you want to do on camera, whether it's just talking like this or portraying a role. Now what I always like to do before getting in front of a camera is making sure my hair is straight and that I have my eyeliner on point. Those are just my 2 things that make me feel really comfortable in myself. And it's like wearing an armour, like nothing can hurt me. If my hair's on point and my eyeliner's on point, then nothing can hurt me and I can do exactly what I want to do in front of this camera. And I think the second thing that's really important is preparation. So whether it's scripted or it's just kind of off the cuff like this, make sure you know everything that you want to get across on camera. Make sure that you've memorised every word if it is from a script. Just making sure you're really prepared for whatever it is you're trying to do. Because, you know, you can't be too prepared. You can't be too prepared, so preparation is key. Porter Jameson asks, what are some of your favourite scenes and shots and sequences from films? Okay, let's get this started. Civil War fight scene at the airport.
Wow, it's so weird how you run into people at the airport. Don't you think that's weird? Definitely weird.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Green Goblin fighting at the end and Gwen Stacy's death.
You don't give me flowers. You take it away.
No, Harry.
I'm gonna take away yours.
No, run! Harry!
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Meet Me in Montauk scene.
Jolie? What if you stay this time?
I walked out the door. There's no memory left.
Come back and make up a goodbye at least. Let's pretend we had one.
500 Days of Summer, Expectations versus Reality.
What?
The ending scene to It's a Wonderful Life when he's running through Bedford Falls.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, George! Merry Christmas, George! Merry Christmas, movie house! Merry Christmas, Emporium! Merry Christmas, you wonderful old building alone!
And Charlie Chaplin's epic speech from The Great Dictator.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible.
Now, if you haven't seen any of these movies, what the hell are you doing? Do it now. Now. Just turn this video off and go and watch those movies right now. Yeah, those scenes really stand out to me, whether it's Marvel films with their amazing special effects and the way that the airport scene was, the way that it was filmed, it was just amazing. It really kind of captured the action. Gwen Stacy and everything that happened with the Green Goblin breaks my goddamn heart every time I see it. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is an incredibly smart movie, and the way that it's put together with the memory slowly being erased and him slowly losing this woman as he's trying to cling on is just, it's amazing. And it goes back to that one memory when they're in Montauk where they first met, and it was just, that was the scene that kind of stood out to me, where the house is falling apart and everything's just being ripped away. I think everybody, when they watch 500 Days of Summer and they see the expectations versus reality scene, can relate in some way. And that movie pretty much just sums up my love life for the past 6 years, so yes, it has to be in there. I've been watching It's a Wonderful Life since I was like 6 years old. Every Christmas we would put that movie on, and to this day it's still really important to me. And even if you haven't seen Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator, you've probably seen the speech because it's been put on YouTube a million times with different soundtracks in the background, and each time it goes viral like every year, and people are like, oh my god, this is amazing what this guy is saying, and I'm like, yeah, it's Charlie fucking Chaplin, he is pretty amazing. And speaking of which, Porter Jameson also asks, what is the oldest film you've watched? And that would pretty much be all the Charlie Chaplin movies, even some of his original stuff from back in like 1913 or however old it was. I've kind of did some searching around a few years ago and tried to watch everything that I could that he'd ever made. And so yeah, Charlie Chaplin. What 3 movies do you consider the most underrated and the most overrated since the year 2000? I'm probably going to make some enemies with these answers, but here goes. I think that Skyfall is overrated. I said it, oh my god. But yeah, it's true, I'm not a massive fan of Daniel Craig being cast as James Bond. I was iffy about him playing the part anyway, and I know people love him. I know it. But I don't know, I never really felt those movies, and with Skyfall being, when it came out, it was everywhere and everyone adored it and loved it. Oh my god, this is the best movie ever. And I watched it and I was just not really taken in, so not really my thing. And I'm a big James Bond fan. Pierce Brosnan will always be James Bond to me. Another overhyped movie would definitely be Gravity, because Gravity, like, in terms of CGI, wow, incredible. Like, the way that they made that, if you watch the behind the scenes, it's insane, it's amazing, and there's a lot of talented people that worked on that movie. The CGI was like the beacon of the movie. It made it amazing in terms of, you know, visuals, but the rest of the movie, it just fell flat to me. The dialogue, it dragged on a lot. Like, I lost interest very, very quickly. But yeah, if you want to watch a space movie, there's way better ones, like, you know, The Martian, Interstellar, etc., etc. So yeah, Gravity was definitely very overrated, because I thought it was going to be this epic movie, and then when I put it on, it was like, oh, okay, amazing effects, pretty much that's it, like nothing else. When I think of underrated movies, I always think of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It's got Robert Downey Jr. in it, Val Kilmer. It's about a crook that just randomly stumbles into an audition for a mystery film, and he wins the part and just gets flown to Hollywood and just gets entangled in all of this crazy stuff that involves murder and rioters, and just he meets this girl he happened to go to high school with. It was just, it's amazingly well put together. The script is hilarious. I love the one-liners in this movie. It's just so funny. Yet every single time I try to talk to someone about this movie, they haven't even seen it. They don't even know that it exists. And it just blows my mind, because I could watch this movie every week and never get bored of it. This movie is one of the things that inspired me to go to Los Angeles 5 years ago. It's a great movie, just watch it. Another one which I think is underrated is 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams. And it's about this lonely guy who develops photos for a living at the local store, and he becomes super attached, and I mean super attached, to this family. I won't go any further because I don't want to spoil too much, but it is a really great film about loneliness and isolation. And I think Robin Williams, in a serious role, is just always epic. Really cool movie. Like, it's messed up. Yeah, it's messed up, but you should give it a watch. What is your guilty pleasure movie? That is easy. That is something that has been in my life since I was a kid. It is Bad Taste by Peter Jackson, one of the first movies that he ever made, with his own camera, and I think he was living with his parents still at the time. But I will let this clip speak for itself. Yeah, told you it was weird. Definitely my guilty pleasure. What movie's mere existence pisses you off? Spider-Man 3, next question. If you had a choice to direct or DP on any script, what would you choose and why? Well, I have scripts, and I have a lot of stuff that I've been working on for the past year that I really want to get done ASAP. And, you know, obviously that would always come into my mind as if I'm going to do anything first, it's got to be my own stuff. But if I was going to get involved in anything, it would probably be on the new standalone Harley Quinn movie, because they have got to do a better job on that than they have on Suicide Squad. So, yeah, like, I really want that movie to be good. Fingers crossed. CGI or practical effects? Well, for me, it's definitely a combination of both. However, if I had to pick one, it would be CGI. And this is the thing, people like to point out the bad things about CGI. They always like to point out the worst movies, the worst scenes, like, oh my god, it was terrible, did you see this? And that's all well and good, like, there is bad CGI out there, but the reason, you know, CGI is in so many things now, it's in everything, but you just don't notice it because it's that good. Most cities that you see in films now, it's all been made on a computer. Most of the cars, most of the props, a lot of the items in a house, they're not even really there. Like, they've just been made, it's so subtle. They do it so subtle now. You don't even realise that it's CGI. There's so many effects. There's a lot of videos out there showing the CGI that you don't even know about, and I'd suggest that you just go and check them out for the behind the scenes. Here's the thing, when you've done a good job, no one notices because they're all focused on the plot and they've all been sucked into the movie because it's visually stunning. They're taken in by it because it was done well, and I think most movies nowadays are done very well with CGI. And of course I'm going to be slightly biased because I'm now doing a degree in CGI and visual effects, so yeah, it's kind of important to me. Best opening and closing sequences in films. Oh, that is easy. Let's get on this list. The opening scene to Jaws. The opening scene to Lion King, because, hey, I mean, it's Lion King. The opening scene to Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. The opening scene to The Truman Show. Let's move on to closing scenes. The closing scene for Star Wars The Force Awakens. The closing scene to Fight Club, obviously. The closing scene to Pulp Fiction. The closing scene to King Kong. I love the closing scene in Iron Man 2 when finally Tony Stark kisses Pepper Potts, because come on, that was a long time coming. And they're one of my favourite couples in Marvel, so it was just really great to see that finally happen. The closing scene to The Graduate. The complete ending sequence to Moulin Rouge, because it is just amazing and spectacular and just this wonderful, wonderful thing that's also incredibly depressing. Ooh, and can we skip back to openings, because I think the opening to Age of Ultron was just incredible, and they have that moment where it's like they all come together and it's just this amazing comic book moment, and oh my god. Best cinematography, and that is a really easy question. The Revenant and Birdman. Two films that I think just completely nailed it with cinematography. And the long shots, oh my god, my favourite things in the world. Best editing in movies that I like. I think Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, the way that they portrayed the memories being ripped from him in the procedure was just, it was great. And just various things that affected his dreamlike state. And I think the way they pieced that together was just, it was really, really clever, really smart. And I'll throw two Marvel films in there that I think have really fantastic editing, and that is Civil War and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Most important and influential directors. Now for me personally, that would be Baz Luhrmann and Quentin Tarantino. I think that they have their own stamp on movies that is just completely them. It's that they've made the films their own. And Baz Luhrmann, he doesn't make that many movies, but when he does, they're just spectacular, groundbreaking things. And, you know, Quentin Tarantino, his style, I don't know, it's so unique, and every movie, it's so quick, it's so fast. Yeah, I can put on any Quentin Tarantino film at any time, and I'm set. I'm entertained. I'm fine. I'll never have to worry about whether I like this movie, because I just know that I will. If you could remake one film, what would it be and why? I would remake Spider-Man 3 because it ended so poorly, and I think it just needs to be redone so that trilogy can end on a high note rather than a mess. I'm pretty sure the internet agrees with me. Come on guys, Spider-Man 3, it was just... the hair alone. Come on. Movies with good concepts that were poorly executed. Okay, the first one for me has got to be Hancock. It had a great concept. I love the way it started. Reading about it, I was like, yep, this is gonna be amazing. Got my guy Will Smith. This is gonna be incredible. No, what? Angels? No, it got weird. There's something that started out great and then just got weird. And then a new one, which would be Suicide Squad, because it was one of those things where you watch the trailer and it's like, oh my god, this is gonna be incredible, oh my god, and then you watch the film and it's like, what is happening? I didn't understand what was happening half of the time. I think DC are quite disappointing when it comes to their movies, and this is kind of a running theme with them. I just hope that things get better. Genre and era defining films. Now, I've got to choose the Rocky Horror Picture Show because I think it was way ahead of its time. I think it created this cult. It created this cult of fans that now celebrate this movie like 4 decades later. It's incredible. And I know they had a remake recently, which I don't really know anything about. I haven't seen anything from it. But I think the Rocky Horror Picture Show was such a defining movie. I think what's great about it is, people come together, they go to see it, they dress up in the fishnets and the outfits, and people get to become somebody else just for an evening, and they watch this movie and just feel free. Like, there's something really freeing about the movie. So Candice Elizabeth asks, what made you take this role in film production, and what are your new goals, and what can we expect from you in 2017? As some of you already know, I've started taking a Bachelor of Science recently in CGI and visual effects. And growing up, it was always Marvel movies and, movies like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World that got me into editing and post-production. So now that I'm doing this, it's really just to beat down and really work hard on my craft and get really, really, really skilled in what I want to do, and just create some really entertaining projects for people. I already have some ideas for what I want to do, and it's just making sure that I have the right people around me, and just whatever I make, I just hope it brings a smile to people's faces. They get entertained, they get sucked into that world that you're trying to create and try to portray. And I have some ideas that I think will really wow people, but it's going to take a serious amount of time for things to come together. And but this is my work, this is what I love, so yeah. Richard asks, what is the craziest or most fun thing that you've ever filmed? I think I got to film a Star Wars fight scene, which was really, really interesting and really, really great to be a part of. Although the craziest, biggest thing that I've ever done was a documentary called MYUK, and it took me like 6 months to edit it, and it was this really, really amazing thing. And I look back on that project and watch it, and it's just like, it's a great thing to watch. However, it's going to be completely unreleased because the person who was like the main person in it now happens to be my ex. So it's not going to be something that gets put out there. But like, I've watched it through, and I'm proud of it. It's really, really good, but it's just not something the world's going to see. Samuel Locke asks, if I could have 3 cameras, what would they be? That's really easy. Blackmagic, the Red camera, and the Sony A7S II. So yeah, those are the 3 main cameras that I would want in my life. Who is your favourite Marvel character? Well, that is easy for me. That is Iron Man. I've always been a massive fan of Iron Man. He will always be my favourite Marvel character. And that's not just because he's portrayed by Robert Downey Jr., who I completely adore. But no, it's just, I love the character. I love the fact that he doesn't actually have a superpower. His superpower is money and genius, and that is real in the real world. And we might not have technology like that these days, but all it takes is one crazy genius with a ton of money and a ton of charisma and a ton of ego to think, yeah, I want to be a superhero. And to build that, because, it's not this unrealistic thing like being bitten by a spider and climbing up a wall. It's like, no, it's just money and ego. Favourite film from childhood, that would definitely be Jurassic Park, because dinosaurs, that's it. That's all you had to say to little Shauna. It was just, hey Shauna, you want to watch dinosaurs? Yeah, just dinosaurs all day, dinosaurs. What should I consider when looking for a camera to film in both daylight and low light? Well, if you have the money, like I said before, Sony A7S II. Just get it, it's amazing. Check out some of the videos on YouTube for the before and after shots of, daytime, nighttime. It's spectacular. And it films in full frame and it's 4K. Come on. One movie I will never get tired of watching. I think definitely Moulin Rouge, because I've watched that such a ridiculous amount of times. It's spectacular, it's amazing, it's magnificent, and I will never get bored of it. Again, I've mentioned this several times today, but Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and pretty much any Marvel movie. Like, I can watch Civil War, I can watch Iron Man, Captain America, I can watch any Spider-Man movie except the 3rd one, and just, it's fine. I can put them all on in the background while I work, while I'm eating, while I'm doing anything. I'll never get bored of Marvel. Will you start vlogging again? I don't think I'll vlog like a lot of YouTubers do, where I'm just talking about my day or just whatever. But I will definitely start doing sit-down videos like this, because I think it's a lot more interesting and I get to talk to people directly and answer their questions, and it feels really good. Mark Doyle asks, in The Little Shop of Horrors, practical effects or CGI if they'd had it back then? Now, I think The Little Shop of Horrors is completely perfect as it is and should remain untouched, and it should never be remade. I think a lot of films that were made back then, you know, in that style, they hold up well. I like it. I don't think things should be remade just with some CGI unless there's a really good reason to, and I just don't think that The Little Shop of Horrors should be remade. I think it's great as it is. Greg Floors asks, what is my favourite long shot? To be honest, it's pretty much every scene in Birdman. That whole movie is one long shot, but I watched it like mainly for the cinematography, and it hooked me in so much.